You're listening to the Hockey Hacks podcast. I am Mason Hackle. This is the podcast where we take a look at the best hockey players in the world and the best athletes in the world, dissect that down into a structured, standardized progression so that anybody can access the abilities of the best hockey players in the world and the best athletes in the world. So, I am currently on a drive. I decided to record multiple episodes of the podcast because I am absolutely bored. I hate wasting my time like this. I actually have to pick up my skates from a hockey shop that's 40 minutes away, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, this takes way too long. I could have been, looking at my clients' videos in this time and actually making program progressions and progressing my business, but it's like, well, maybe I could do that progressing the business side by doing more podcasts and shoots like this. So that's what we're doing here. In the previous episode, I was talking a little bit about, or I mentioned briefly that I had a post recently that got a lot of traction, and something disrespect pro athletes, something, and different conversations that I had that were both productive and not productive. The last episode was about how you have to work on yourself instead of focusing on the team and systems like that, and how you working on yourself actually improves the team and not the other way around, because it's all group identity politics and blah 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 blah. We've seen that work really well, by the way, in the real world. That doesn't actually work. But anyway, this one is also related to that video. Multiple videos that come out of that, and conversations and things like that. So I think it's really funny that a post like that, where I talked about how I could have made pro hockey, but I've chosen not to, and instead I would like to coach 10 or 100 or maybe 1,000 players to the highest levels of hockey, maybe the NHL, we'll see, who are basically going through the exact same transformations that I did in my personal case study, but now we get to make multiple case studies exactly like mine and transformations exactly like mine. But obviously people didn't get the point because it's a provocative statement, and they focus on the provocative statement because they only hear the first thing that they look at, and they don't actually want to research it and then come to their conclusions after that. Anyway, that's the complicated way of saying those are actually hate comments. Like I like going deeper into that, because it's it's like, what do you mean by hate comments? It's like these people just don't know, they don't care, and they disrespect you. Honestly, because they don't know and they don't care, because they don't actually go in and look at it, because they look at it for 1 second and don't do the work, that like they've absorbed, they don't absorb the knowledge over time. They just come to their own conclusions like right away, too easily, come to their own assumptions too easily, and base what they say off of those easy assumptions instead of something that's actually, has depth to it. Like, what they talk about is so shallow. It's just like, yeah, I could swipe left on all of your comments and it wouldn't mean a damn thing. And that's what I do. It's like, any comment that's unproductive, I delete. Even if it so I don't delete comments that disagree with me. What I do delete are anything that degrades into like name calling, labeling, and trying to mind read and different things like that, which I qualify as an unproductive conversation. Someone calls me like a liar, you're gone. Someone calls me like an idiot, you're gone. Like, your comment's gone. You don't need to put that in a fucking comment. You just say, I disagree. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But like, people choose not to. Obviously, those who don't listen to this podcast, like, they don't do that, and things like that. There's another thing too that I would caution people on. It's like, it's the giving advice thing, where it's like, hey, I wouldn't talk about this if I were you. It's like, why not? I wouldn't do that if I were you with all these different things that you're doing. It's like, why not? I wouldn't train the way that you're training. It's like, okay, you don't have to. But it's my choice. And it's like, you can choose what you want to do because this is the free society that we live in. And I get to choose what I want to. It's like, I'm not going to put my choice on yours, but if you put your choice on mine, I'm going to bite back. It's like, because respectfully, fuck off. But anyway, like, on the topic of the respect thing. So I got a few that were like, oh, you're disrespecting pro athletes by talking about how you could have made pro hockey, when I looked at something from you from 6 years ago in your playing days, in your playing career, and like, you didn't make the top level pro, levels. You just played in one of the worst junior hockey leagues that is in the country, and you had 0 points in your last year of junior hockey with a starter team, and like, you weren't that good. It's like, I have actually talked about how bad I was. Notice how bad I was. Not bad now, how bad I was. If you look at my Elite Prospects page, the last time I played was 2020. The last game I played was 2020. I am recording this January 12th of 2024. So that's 4 years ago. Even so, the other teams that some people are referencing were from 6 years ago. Actually, I don't qualify what I've gone through in January of 2020 as part of my transformation and part of what I've changed. And I consider that my past now. So that is why I don't do any reference to my Elite Prospects. It's not because I don't acknowledge that I got 0 points my last year of junior hockey. It's because I'm saying that I went from bad to good because of my hockey ability. I don't need to be on a pro hockey team to say that I'm of the abilities of a pro hockey athlete. I don't need to prove it that way. And nor do I want to. Could. I've gotten invites to go skate with some pro players, and we'll see how that goes. And actually, by the way, someone emailed my friends at Train 2.0, by the way, when I was doing some collabs with them, some collab posts with them, and they asked if I was an AHLer. I don't know what the details of that email were, whether they just looked at the pants and my movement and were like, oh, wow, this looks like a pro. That's the point of it, actually. This guy looks really good. Why is that so? Does he play in a professional league? It's like, that's the assumption based off of that email. Again, you can ask my friends at Train 2.0 about that exact thing, because that email does exist. But really, it's like, all they did was look at one of my practice clips from, guess what, 6 months ago. Notice how I didn't say it was 4 years ago or 6 years ago. 6 months ago. If you divide 6 months by 4 years is 8 months, and then 6 years is 12 months. Sorry, that's wrong. 4 years is 8 cycles of 6 months. So that's 8 opportunities to make a 5-year transformation in 6 months. Like, are you kidding me? You're saying that you can't make progress in 6 months. You can't make a 5-year transformation in 6 months, Elon Musk style. Like that's what the couch potatoes are saying to you when they say like, oh, you were bad 6 years ago. It's like, no shit. But I'm not now. It's like, welcome to the past. I don't live in the past. It's like, I live here now. It's because like I can look at my footage from back then to now, and it's like, oh, I moved completely differently. I'm a hell of a lot stronger. I am not injured anymore. That's the other thing. And like, that is what makes me better statistically. And I have measurables to back that up, which is what the standards is about. And like, where does everyone else have those? Where is the measurables for everyone else? It's like, and then you say like, I disrespect pro players because I have the statistical measurements, both skills and athleticism to match up with what the best NHLers and the best athletes in the world are doing. Like, really? Just because I know how to do math and you don't? Like, that's what it comes down to. It's because I know how to do math and you don't, that you get to say, oh, like, where's your proof? It's like, because I can do math and you can't. Yeah, those hockey players are so fucking dumb. It's like, if I use that, by the way, it's like, that's gonna, oh my goodness. It's like, the next comment that comes up, it's like, oh, where's your proof that you can play like a pro athlete? It's like, a pro hockey player. It's like, because I can do math, you can't. I went to school and did basic, addition and percentages and basic multiplication and division and subtraction, and you didn't, because you were so obsessed with being better that you would skate every day and you didn't actually prepare yourself for the rest of life. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, like, I would say like that's, so the point there is, why would you look at someone's thing from 6 years ago? I don't even look at Jason Yee's elite prospects from 6 years ago, even though it's terrible. It's like, because he can articulate way better than anyone what these best players are doing and how they're moving. It's like, that is why I went to him, because he has the language to describe what these players are doing. And any other coach that I went to for hockey skills did not. They did not have that language, because it was the same thing over and over a fucking again. Over and over a fucking again. This kept getting repeated stuff that wasn't getting results. I should add that. It's like, they kept repeating the same things that did not produce results over like a fucking again. Over and over a fucking again. So it's like, well, I went to someone else who said something slightly different and actually triggered more results. So it's like, what do you have to say to that? Like, I'm sorry that I left my old coaches, if any of you are listening, but I was looking for results, and I got that with Jason and his programs and his system. It's like, because he had the language. He was able to describe exactly what these best players were doing and what they were working on and some progressions that you needed to get there. And it was the same thing with ATG and Ben Patrick and anyone else who's in that platform, and that, who train athletes and dissect information from Charles Baldwin, like, was the best strength coach in history by accounts of how many Olympic gold medalists he coached to in many different sports. So it's like, a lot of this stuff just works, produces results, and like, it's dissectable into the basics. So it's like, with all of that in mind, who is the one actually doing the disrespecting? Is it me who's just studying how like the best do their thing? Or is it you who is telling who doesn't even play pro, and you're telling me that I'm disrespecting pro athletes just because I say I could have been on their level? It's like, actually I could have. If you align their measurables with mine, it's like I could compete with them. I could play in their league. It's just math. The road to elite NHL ability, to elite hockey player ability, is just a math equation. And that has not existed before in hockey training. And that is what I wish I had when I was 12 years old. And for any one of you who are, overlooked players, stuck on the fourth line, healthy scratch all the time, maybe you're injured, maybe you're like, I don't know, just having a fucking rough time with your team, and you're trying to get better, and you're someone who has looked at everything, let's say, and you need that extra little bit of help and guidance because you're now not sure what to do. Well, have you tried mastering the standards that are in the Hockey Hacks system? By the way, these standards are not what I created. They're just numbers that I put together from other people who have put together numbers, and I'm just communicating it in the language of hockey. It's not that fancy. There's the strength numbers, and then there's other imagery from observing what the best players can do as far as their skating, shooting, and stick handling ability. And my mission is to make all hockey ability accessible to everyone, especially those who want to pursue it and want to improve it. So again, who is actually doing the disrespecting? Like, by the way, I'm so disrespectful to hockey and the pro athletes that I don't know who I triggered, I guess, that I actually help hockey players improve, including myself. I'm so disrespectful to the pro athletes that I make people and players into pro athletes. It's like, sorry. Just because you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, you're not being smart about your training, you don't have a long-term development plan, just because you don't have any of that doesn't mean that you get to say that I disrespected you. That's too shallow, and honestly, you're too fucking weak. If you think that, you're too fucking weak. I'll go as far as to say, hockey players really act tough. Because there's this thing called, we fight all the time. We drop we drop the mitts. It's like, we're the toughest athletes in the world. It's like, no, you're not. Because you don't have a brain. You don't really think about this stuff. You don't think about measurables because it doesn't exist in hockey training. You don't really think about systems that much. Because instead of actually going and executing them, you just sit on a couch and draw on a whiteboard. It's like, well, listen, that's still something, but it's not like actually going out and executing it and trying it with the factor that you're moving. Human movement is completely different from a whiteboard. That is a distinction that we always overlook, which is why I am obsessed with the skills and the mechanics and the way that you fucking move on the ice. So maybe here's a question, like for any of you who thinks that I'm just disrespecting the game. It's like, again, I'm sorry that you feel like I triggered you, but I have a question for you. How much are you fucking working on this stuff? Any of you whose career is over and you, like, I don't know, stop playing as well, and you've like, oh, I've accepted the terms of what my career is like. It's like, I don't give a flying fuck, by the way, that my career is over. Why do you care that your career is over and you're not fucking doing anything for it to like keep improving yourself? It's a big form of projection onto, like, telling your shortcomings onto me. The reason that I train like a pro athlete is because I need to be able to show anyone else who I teach that these abilities are actually accessible to everyone. If I just sit on a couch all day, like, that's not enough proof. If I just sit on a couch and get fat, I should say, and just eat potato chips and draw on a whiteboard saying, like, you can move this way into this position instead of being over here. It's like, yes, a coach's job is to fill up your blind spots, but you don't do that by just sitting on a couch. You do that by understanding the kinesthetics of how a human moves. You understand how a human moves, then you apply that to on ice, understand how humans move on the ice, and then you dissect that into your systems. It's like the people who draw up plays, I suspect, are really missing that step where it's like they do not acknowledge how a human fucking moves on the ice. How a human moves in stiff boots, on a slippery surface, on a blade that's an eighth of an inch thick, and they also don't acknowledge it in like regular environment. It's like you're missing a huge component that like you absolutely need, because you're dealing with humans. You're not dealing with robots who move differently than humans. If you understand how a human moves, you can make way better systems. If you don't understand how a human moves, like that's why, by the way, that's why a different team wins the Stanley Cup out here. Because systems like that they don't work consistently. It's the players. There's more evidence that it's the players than it's the systems. Why do coaches change all the time? More so than players. Coaches get fired all the time. But why don't players get fired? Maybe they get traded, but the core, let's say, doesn't change that much of every team. Why does that not happen? If it's truly systems that propels hockey teams forward, like, why does it actually not happen? A different coach comes up with different system, which is like, I would assume, that's an assumption on my part. I would assume that different coaches bring in different systems. And if that's actually the case, why do the players remain the same? And, like, even with a different, system, it's like, and then, like, people say it's like you adapt to these different things. It's like, well, the way that people are breaking down systems, it's kind of like there's just teams doing it the same way over and over again at different areas, and it's like, yeah, teams learn to adapt to these different systems that these players and the teams are doing. It's like, I don't know about that. I focus more on the individual. Like, it's not that I discard systems, it's that people overcomplicate it, and they also discard the fact that a human body, they also discard how humans move, I think. They don't acknowledge it, they don't factor it into their systems enough. Because it's like, very easily, and I had this problem a few times, it's like, you could just move this way over here, and it's like, well, like, this player isn't fast enough to execute it because he's weak and he skates like shit, and he, like, those two factors. You're dealing with humans, you're not dealing with anything else in a physical sport, which hockey is a part of, which is why you focus on the individual. It's like, which I know is a topic of last podcast, but I just wanted to bring that up. Anyway, it's like, again, the disrespectful thing, like, it actually doesn't make sense. Actually, you can very easily turn that on its head, where it's like, the people who are saying that, like, I'm disrespecting pro athletes, it's like, here's where you turn it. It's, you are overlooking these people who are stuck on the fourth line, who are actually trying to improve their game, and you're stepping over them. Isn't that disrespecting people? They don't have a fucking voice because, like, they're not of the pro label, which is like, again, if you use that as I don't know, something like an extra label or a king label, which is like, it's not really that, first off, and like, you're just using that to justify your claim that you know your stuff just because you have PRO next to your thing, next to your name. That's not good enough. Just because you have pro athlete in your, like, title doesn't give you the right to just shit on people who are on the fourth line and who are actually trying to improve themselves. Which is why I speak very critically of pro athletes. It's because it isn't me who is disrespecting them, because they have I guess, sure, why, fuck it, I'm going to embrace that. Sure, I'm disrespecting them, and they have every right to be disrespected because they don't respect anybody who's actually trying to improve. And I'm respecting those who are actually trying to improve, and, you know, giving them a voice, because frankly, they don't fucking have one, because these pussy pro athletes are, like, using this stupid pro label and then, like, I don't know, going out to bars every night and just saying, like, I'm at the top of the world. It's like, no, you're fucking not. It's like, you're going to crash down by the time that you're 40 if you're not careful. It's like, I'm not the one disrespecting pro athletes by any means, in the way that they are disrespecting people who are actually trying to improve and articulating the stuff and helping people go from a bad player to a great player, making a transformation. People who want the transformations, it's like, these pro athletes are like, yeah, you're not gonna fucking do that. It's like, you're just as mature as an Instagram child. Get the fuck out of here. For any of you who actually wants that transformation, this is your voice. This is your safe space. We're going to fight against this bullshit. You people who actually want to improve, right here with you. It's like, I am training with you. I am along this journey with you. I will train my fucking ass off for you. Because that is how we do things. That is how we reach the standards. That is how we all carry each other up. It's like, I have to practice with proficiency what I preach on my end, and then I can articulate that to the rest of you, that you can all make the same transformation that I made. That is how we change hockey training. That is how we make the abilities of the best hockey players accessible to fucking every single one of you, for you to have. Because I know very well, you had your best players that you watched growing up. You had your favorite players that you watched growing up. Very likely they were the top player on their team. You just name them. It's like, why do you watch Sidney Crosby? Why do you watch Connor McDavid? Why do you watch Alex Ovechkin? Why does everyone have those jerseys? Why does everyone have a Connor Bedard jersey? It's like, because you want to be like them in some subtle way. I am telling you how you can be like them in some subtle way. Even if it's not like 100% like them, it's not going to be. But you can be 90% like them, which is very fucking good. And it breeds a transformation. It's like, who doesn't want that? Why would you not want that? The only reason you don't want that is that you don't want to improve and you want to like not change your life. And because like, I don't know, you've accepted that your career is over, which is like pathetic. Honestly, that's pathetic. If you are alive, you can improve. If you are alive, you can improve. It's a choice to improve or to not. It is not up to destiny or up to genetic chance or up to factors that are, in quote, out of your control. You have a lot more control than you think. That is why we have the standards. That is why we do what we do at Hackle Hockey Hacks. Sorry, Hockey Hacks. I removed the hackle. That is why what we do at Hockey Hacks. And that's my mission. We're going to make the abilities of the best hockey players and the best athletes in the world accessible to everyone who wants it. I want to thank you for listening. Again, for those of you who are overlooked, you actually want to improve your game, I am your voice. I am your voice. I am here for you. I will take on any of these fuckers, any of these pussy whip, like, pieces of shit, honestly, who want to shut you down just because you're trying to improve. And you're looking for a better way to train. Just because, I don't know, coaches or players alike, it's like, who are, I don't know, in the pro thing, and they're saying, like, you're disrespecting them because you think you can be a pro athlete. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Fuck off. Anybody who's alive and who wants to improve, I am fucking here for you. And I can tell you what to do. Because I'm giving you exactly the same transformation that I took in a 6-year period that you saw, like, from my 0 points in my last year of junior hockey 6 years ago to today. That's the most respectful thing I can do for anybody. And anyone who wants to look at something 6 years ago, that's the most disrespectful thing that you can do for anybody, is looking at their past and justifying that for what they are today. Respectfully, fuck off. I don't want to end it on that, but we're going to. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.